Good afternoon, my lovers. It's me. I'm in my garden and I'm going to do something here. I got this metal detector here, so like a toy metal detector, and it wasn't until I realised that it's a C-scope, and all early C-scopes are non-motion detectors. So what I thought I might do is I might cut the coil off. Oh, start making a noise. I might cut the washing line getting in the way. I'm going to cut the coil off. I've got a special little cutter. I'm going to try and cut the coil off, cut around and expose the coil. And what I'm going to try and do is make it into a pinpointer. Yeah, that's the idea. So I've got a special little cutter here somewhere. I've got a Dremel machine, and I got this thing here. Hold on. Oh, it's in my pocket. But it's a very little, tiny little cutting disc. It goes into a Dremel, and I'm going to cut around the coil and see if we can get into it. And then what I'm going to do, instead of it being like this oval shape, round shape, I'm going to get the wires, if I can. I don't know what's going to be inside there, and I'm going to make them into a sort of a long, thin shape, so I can maybe attach them to a thin piece of wood, sandwich it in between two bits of wood, you know, as an experiment mostly, and then see if I can make it into a pinpointer that I could put down a hole into the ground. Now you can, I think this is just this is an all metal detector. It doesn't discriminate, but you can get C-scopes that discriminate as well. So it's a non-motion, and I'll show you. Obviously there's not much in the way of depth. But obviously it needs adjustment, and I had to just adjust it a minute ago because it there's different adjustments on here. Oh. That's better. It's got a good 10 centimetres now. So the idea is I'm going to cut round here, cut it off, just turn it off. Right, I'm going to cut round, I got my Dremel, and I'm going to cut round this here and expose what's inside. More power. Yeah, it's going in. Right. Just want to make sure I don't hit anything. Right. I'll get back to you when I've cut all the way around. This could take a while. Well, it's going to be a bit more awkward because it seems to be glued in with some sort of an epoxy resin, the coil. The coil is glued in with an epoxy resin. Now, that's going to make it tricky getting it out, isn't it? See, what I was thinking of doing is having the coil that shape instead of it being round. so it's more of that shape than a round coil. Now that is an epoxy resin in there, which is quite hard. Now you might be able to loosen it with a glue gun or a heat gun. It might loosen it, because see, that's a heat gun. That stuff there. It's got a little circuitry board in there, with some sort of a metal. Looks like metal. Let's make sure it still works. Yeah, it still works. I haven't destroyed it. Right, so any comments as to how I'm going to be able to get that out of there? Is that string? Oh, it's just end bits of that. Look how wires, look how tiny they are. Tiny wires. Right, I'm going to have to probably do some research on this in the hope that I can get that out of there. If I could cut it out, that'd be a bit tricky, that, wouldn't it? I wouldn't want to hit it. So yeah. Right, I'm just going to ease a screwdriver into these gaps. Actually, will that come off? No, I think it's glued in. It's glued in. Because look, there's a gap down the back. See the gap down the back there? So yeah, I want to somehow take this apart and make it elongate it into a coil that's that shape, rather than it being a round shape. But the actual metal itself, I thought they were wrapped up wires, but they're not. That's like a solid piece of metal. Maybe if I cut it, what do you reckon? If I cut it there, cut through, and then attached my own piece of metal, like soldered another piece of metal to that and elongated it. Come on, all you experts out there. How am I going to do this? Because this is just a test. This is just a cheap old toy metal detector. Look, C-scope. TR, it's a kiddies one. Oh, turn the pesky thing off. Oh, hold on, wrong way. Yeah, I reckon, I want your thoughts on this. If I was to cut it, so obviously that one goes around there. It's a sort of a, how's it attached? Some sort of foil there, look. So some sort of a foil. Right, I'm going to have to do some research, methinks. But yeah, I reckon if I was to cut through and then elongate it out, maybe I could, if I could get that metal out of there, that strip. It's sort of a, looking at it through the resin, it looks like it's a square strip. So what do you think? I would like your thoughts on this, because I want to make this is just a toy one. I'm gonna make it out of a proper C-scope non-motion detector with discrimination. But this is just a trial run to see how it would work. Because the problem is, when I go out using the GPX and I put it down, you know, I detect a signal. When it's really deep, I don't know what metal it's made of. That's the problem. And I've had a few people complaining that I've not been digging super deep targets. It will find super deep targets, but I need a way of telling what the object is made of in the ground before I start digging a huge hole, because it's very tiring, especially at my age, 50. You know, it's very tiring. You know, and I'm more or less cream crackered for the rest of the day then. So if I start doing it in the morning, I'm cream cracking. If I do it when I finish on cream cracking, it's just too much work. So what I'm thinking of doing is getting like one of these power augers that you can get garden ones that you do use for planting plants. You just zip into the ground and it digs a lovely little hole. But you can get ones with much longer reaches and you can go right down maybe a couple of feet into the ground. So I'd use the power auger to go a couple of feet into the ground and then put it out, and then if I could get that sort of like long and thin shaped and put that down the ground, into the ground, then I reckon I'll be able to detect what metal it's made of, because the pinpointer on that is going to be better because it's a proper metal detector than it would be on my Garrett carrot. You know, the Garrett carrot can't tell me what metal it's made of as well. So I reckon it's a bit of an experiment, but I think this could be a winner. Cheers!